Hey everybody, this is Dark Guardsman. We're back with a really quick update. So we got this giant orange cube here, which is going to be part of what I'm going to show here. So what I've been working on is a way to kind of give buildings roofs in a way that doesn't actually mess gameplay. So let's go ahead and just show it rather than talk about it the entire time and then show it. Go and get the game running. And drive up over there. So this is pretty much the same as the last level I was showing, the last test level. So nothing's been changed other than the roof has been added. We're using a tile map for the roof, but it can be used with just about any object. So when I get up to about this point here, there's a trigger here that will basically set the roof open. And there's another trigger that'll keep it open as long as I'm in this room. So if we go actually exit the room, it won't turn off until I get back out around the corner. Really simple logic, but creates the illusion that you entered and exited the building. Now with a bit of texture work, I can make this actually look like a proper roof on a warehouse or something, and it would look a lot nicer. I could also probably make it transparent so you kind of still think you're in a roof, but the concept would be to keep this completely revealed and then to dim the outside. I wouldn't say completely disappear the outside, but to dim it in such a way that you focus in on the fact that you're in this room and not actually elsewhere. Now how this logic works, it's actually a little bit more complicated than some of the other things I've done. This is the entire object here, the roof object. It has a trigger on here, which is the actual trigger that detects the collision when you're inside here. It has an enter and exit trigger, and it has the toggle. How the toggle works is that it will count how many of the triggers have been triggered. So if I go and hit this one, it'll increment it by 1. And then as I pass into this room, it'll increment it by 1, but also decrease it by 1 because I just left this trigger. So it keeps track of how many of the collision boxes I'm inside of at the moment. That way, when I'm entering and exiting different triggers, it doesn't flip and render and de-render. It also keeps track of the previous count, that way it only cycles like once, and it's not recycling and re-updating and retrying to render and everything else. How the actual trigger system works is we have 2 empty objects here. These are just for triggers, just to simplify things. I haven't found a better way to do this. Well, I know there are better ways to do this, but I'm trying to make sure I'm using my trigger system rather than remaking a whole bunch of things. We then have a door trigger, which has an enter and exit script, just like it has on the roof. So there's 2 of these triggers. This is the door entryway, and it will keep track of the layer, so it'll only collide with the player layer. Right now I've got this set up with a number rather than doing it with a layer mask like it does up here, simply because I couldn't get the layer mask to work properly. It'll also keep track of this is entered, so this object can be used for other things. So what it'll do is it'll track the enter on that. It'll then trigger both of these scripts right here will then just increment or decrement the timer, and they're really simple scripts. So here's the door trigger script. It does the detect on enter and detect on exit, and it just simply increments the timer. Now, let me get some of these debug lines here because I'm actually done with these. But it will check it. It also kind of will prevent these from re-triggering. So once you go into them, and say you had like a couple more players follow you in, which we're probably going to put, if we do this multiplayer, when you're on the client, other players will probably not be marked as players just to make life easier. But if we did mark them all as players, say you were on like local co-op or something, then of course this would prevent it from double triggering, as you would have one person enter and then go in and everything else. I have a feeling I'm going to have to maybe recode that, but the roof toggle, we have the methods that are called from the actual system here. Let me go find the actual triggers. So there should be, I'm going to say this is it, this one right here. Let's see if Unity wants to cooperate. Okay, that's one we already have open. So there should be another one of these in here that, yeah, trigger roof maybe? Here we go. So this is what the trigger roof looks like. Really basic script. I, in theory, think I'm going to replace this with a method toggle. And what I mean by method toggle, let me go ahead and save this scene here, is that there's the main menu, which I am currently working on in one of the other levels, has this really cool system on it. Let me get this to load up. This has this cool system for the menu, and the menu is really basic. But it has on it, if we can get to the main thing here, it has, for the buttons, have an on-click system. And on the on-click system, you can change whether this is runtime or not. You can pick a class file, and then in the class file, you can pick what method you want to call. And my theory is that what I want to do with this is figure out how to replicate this, and I'm going to have to do some research to do it, and then use that for my triggers, so that way we're not using this single on-trigger method, and we don't have to worry about having this prefab that you can call for the trigger actions. And instead, we could have a system that we can then call individual methods, and you can have multiple different triggers inside something, which might be more useful. Anyways, I'll leave you guys here and we'll be back with more content updates.